You have discovered through the expansion of the internet world. I am Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen 30-Minute Podcast. We're going to be talking about your life, my life, and the world today. So sit back, relax, grab something if you need it, and let's do this. And a 30-minute podcast does start now. I'm your host, Johnny Allen of the Johnny Allen 30-Minute Podcast. Hey, welcome aboard. If you're first-time listener and subscriber, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube side, the like, and all that good stuff, the bell, all that. Hey, all I do on this little podcast for 30 minutes, I talk about everyday life situations. And you probably missed me last week. I was actually, it was Thanksgiving. So I was doing a little Thanksgiving, celebration, just a little rest and relaxation. And did have a little bit of family in town, but not a lot. It was kind of kind of a low-key Thanksgiving for me, which was kind of nice. I work in healthcare during the day, kind of the day job, and we've been really busy, especially with the new COVID, the big bad COVID. You know, it just seems like it never goes away, right? It just keeps on keeping on. It's like the Energizer Bunny Rabbit, right? Just keeps on keeping on. Kind of incredible, really, but... yeah, now they got the new variant out of South Africa, but I'm not going to talk about COVID today. I talk about COVID quite often, but we're not going to do that today. Anyway, welcome to the 30-Minute Podcast and say hello to Barkin' Barney. Yes, this is Barkin' Barney. Hello, Barney. Hey. He's got that look on his face like, what the heck is going on? Because there is a lot, got to have that expression, right? We all have that expression these days, like, what in the world was that? And, occasionally I keep up with the news. I don't like to bask in the news very much because it's all bad, but occasionally I'll look at it, see what's going on. And before I get on with the holidays and stuff, I'll kind of get this out of the way first. I look at the news and I see where there's just a lot of, I don't know, is COVID caused a lot more violence and just bizarreness in human behavior these days? Comment below if you think so. Or does everybody just blame it on COVID and it's an excuse to go out and be stupid? I see where there's a lot of, we just had a bad incident yesterday. The shooting, 15-year-old kid, don't really know the background on the kid, don't care to know. I know that he's got a lot of problems to go out and shoot classmates. Troubled individual, right? Troubled kid. Shame. It's a shame. Why is that? We could go into that in much detail in another podcast later on in the future, but there's a lot of that stuff going on. You hear of, women missing and coming up, and a kid I saw today where a kid in Florida was out just riding his bicycle and he was missing, and he turned up, unfortunately not too well. They found him deceased, and they caught a guy that was just a homeless man that just happened to not like the 15-year-old kid, I guess. And, decided that he was going to do away with his life. So, we got some bad stuff going on, and people are blaming it on COVID. Of course, it's bad stuff's been going on since the beginning of human beings, right? I guess, if you look back on it. But does it seem like people are more bizarre today? Comment below. Does it seem like the behavior is more bizarre in people? The way they drive, the way they communicate. And, if you look at these mugshots of these, I call them just animals, just terrible people that do bad things. Super bad things. They always have this blank stare. You look at the guy that ran through the Christmas parade, a couple weeks ago. They just all got this blank stare. Like there's just no emotion. There's no feeling. There's no anything going on. Why do you think it is? Comment below. Just observation, guys. Anyway, how was your turkey day? Hopefully you did well. Hopefully you didn't get any trouble. Oh, speaking of turkey day in trouble, yeah. In my home state of Indiana, on turkey day, there was a guy that apparently got mad at a turkey dinner and decided he was going to stab somebody at a Thanksgiving gathering. See, that's what I mean about the bizarreness and the evil that's going on in the society and the world today. And I'm not even touching on the world leaders. I'm not even touching on what's going on in that part of the world, in that upper echelon of controlling the destination of human beings and the earth as we know it. I talked a little bit about that before the Thanksgiving break, how just a few individuals can cause mass chaos and destruction of the planet. Pretty scary to think about that, right? And now, as I read the news, I kind of chuckle about it. It's not really funny, but I chuckle in dismay is why I chuckle. So now as I'm scrolling through the news, I usually hit the world news first because I want to get the big stuff out of the way, and then I'll scroll down to, the United States news and then the local news. Okay, so I just kind of go from the top and work down. So world news, you hear about Putin. His people are getting rid of our ambassadors, U.S. the ambassadors. Getting rid of them. He's mad at NATO. And, you read the comments below of people that have commented on these subjects, right? So the U.S. Embassy, rather. I call it ambassadors, but it's U.S. Embassy. I'll correct myself. So the U.S. Embassy is being, bye-bye from Russia. And the Russian people are saying, the government's saying, it's the United States' fault. They're the ones that are pushing the subject and all that. So, it's hard to say. We really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But the bottom line of the whole thing is that the waters are really rough right now. We're being tested. Things are tense, needless to say, throughout the world. Not just here in the United States, not just here in Indiana, not just here in Indianapolis, all over the whole entire planet, things are tense. Except maybe in Hawaii, I don't know. People are maybe seem to be happy over there. But I mean, really, all kidding aside, the whole world seems to be pretty tense right now. Is it the pandemic doing it or what? Like I said, Putin is upset with the United States. China is upset with the United States. The United States is upset with China. The superpowers, everybody, the superpowers want to have more power. They just want the power. They want control. It's all about control. I've talked about this many times before on the podcast. These world leaders want control of everything. And then we have our own issues here in the United States with, the pandemic, with the mandates on the vaccines. And I'll get a little bit into this vaccine thing. I do work in healthcare. Let's get a little bit into it. So, a year or so ago when COVID first burst onto the scene, they said, okay, they rushed to get a vaccine, which is great. Let's get it. They got it. Let's get it going. All right. Remember his warp speed with Donald Trump and everything it's warp speed, let's get it done. It was great. Whatever. A lot of us got the vaccines. It was voluntary. Some of us didn't. I got it because I work in healthcare. I thought about it for a while, but I thought, well, maybe I should get some protection, right? So the moral of the story, we jump forward. We fast forward a year. And now I'm knowing the people that are getting the vaccines and everything, and they are getting COVID and getting really sick. Okay, some of them and all that. So by me saying that, I think everybody knew, at least the majority of us knew, that the vaccine was not going to prevent you from getting COVID-19, or a variant of the COVID-19 virus. But it would help you fight it off, so you wouldn't have to go to the hospital, get severely sick, or possibly die. That was the understanding, at least with me from the beginning, and a lot of other people. But there is still a lot of people that think, even I heard of like LeBron James, for example, I got the COVID, I got the vaccination, I should never get COVID. I'm totally immune. Well, it doesn't work that way. But the flip side of it is, why should you mandate it if it's not going to be 100% protective, right? So why you force people and have them, terminate them from their jobs and all this stuff? If it's not going to 100% protect people, it's not going to be 100% of a deterrent. I would say just use the herd immunity. These people that don't want to get it, let them get it. Let their immune systems try to fight it the best they can. And, hey, they're rolling the dice. It's their choice whether they want to get it or not. They shouldn't get fired or laid off or whatever, because the point is it's still going to spread regardless. Regardless, you can vaccinate everything in the whole entire planet, and the thing is still going to spread. it's still going to spread. And masks kind of help slow it down, but they don't prevent it. In other words, the thing is just going to have to run its course. No pun intended. The virus has got to run its course, and eventually it dissipates. And sometimes they don't. They just change. And we've had viruses for thousands of years, and it's just something that we got to live with. I think shutting down economies, it doesn't work. Lockdowns don't work. We found all that out. Making everybody get the shot does not work. That should be a voluntary thing. Okay? That's it. That's all I got to say about COVID. Comment below on any of that I had to say. So now we're going to flip the dial. What do you want to say? We're going to change subjects here. We're going to get into a little bit more of the, I don't know. We're getting close to Christmas. So with that being said, I drink coffee on the show. Everybody knows that. And I share the coffee mugs. And you know what? This is the festive snowman. Pretty appropriate for this time of year. So you got to have your CWE coffee, which I do have in here. So Tim, if you're listening, I'm enjoying it. And you know what? Sometimes you got to have a little festive cookie. So these are the gingerbread cookies. And sometimes, you just got to dip that in the coffee like this. What can I say? Enjoy it, right? So if you're listening and you want to participate, grab your coffee. I'm not judging if you put something in it. I'm not judging. I don't judge. And we'll have a swig. Okay, I'm going to officially toast to the holidays, to Christmas coming up and the holidays. Toast. Thank you guys for hanging in there I've been on here for now a year and a half now. Okay, so Christmas around the corner, and I appreciate the support. That's why I said a year and a half. I do appreciate the people that have supported the channel, and we got exciting stuff coming up. I've been talking about guests for a year and so now. I've had one guest a year ago in October at the passing of rest of soul Eddie Van Halen. Mark was my guest, and he was on audio guest, and now I'm getting ready to have video guests come on, and that's a surprise, and it'll be great. It promises to be good conversation. I hope you guys tune in. I think that you probably will be interested in what we have to talk about coming up with the guest that I have. So anyway, we're going to Christmas. We're what now? 3 weeks away, right? Yeah. Tomorrow will be 3 weeks. It'll be Christmas Eve. That in itself really is hard to believe. It'll be Christmas Eve in 3 weeks. Hard to believe. Okay. Now I'm just going to give you a little bit of insight on the progress of Johnny Allen here with my Christmas shopping. Okay, we're gonna like I said, switch gears, talk about Christmas shopping. I did a majority of 50% of my Christmas shopping last Saturday and did not intend to do that. But I ended up getting 50% of my Christmas shopping finished. Probably more than that. I will complete my Christmas shopping Saturday. And what I did is I got up real early. I had my breakfast. I was the first one at our local restaurant that I go to for breakfast once in a while. It's the first one in there. Sat down, had my breakfast, got out, got to the store with the Cabela's for one. Got there as soon as the doors open. And avoid the crowds because I don't like crowds. I just don't. I'm not a crowd. And it's kind of weird because I'm a musician. I love crowds in the audience. But I'm up here on the stage and it's just me and the band, But anyway, I'm not much into the crowds, shopping and that kind of thing. You guys get the story. So I got to these stores before it started getting really crowded. And excuse me, to be honest with you, it wasn't that bad. So I didn't intend, like I said, to get that much shopping done, but I did. Now I'm down to buying for the wife, a little bit more for the mother, and for the brother. So how you like that? The wife, the mother, and the brother. That's who I have left to get for. And I'll be doing some online shopping as well. And Tim, I got a big coffee order coming in this weekend. You'll see it. Go get your coffee, CWE. I'll put the link below. It makes great Christmas presents. It really does. And it's good coffee. And as I get guests come on, I think we're going to talk more about coffee. We like coffee. Coffee is it's one of those things that people either love it or they hate it. I think there's more people that love it than hate it. I didn't start drinking coffee till I was like 40 years old. I was a late bloomer in the coffee drinking business. And I kind of did it by force. And I'll explain that story later. But yeah, I started drinking coffee when I was 40 years old. and learned to like it. Before then, I just couldn't stand it. I liked the smell of it, but I couldn't stand the bitterness of drinking the coffee or whatever. It might have been the brand of coffee my folks were drinking back in the day. But anyway, didn't start drinking coffee till 40. So anyway, go get CW coffee for Christmas presents. They make great ones. They make great Christmas presents. So anyway, we kind of talked about, things getting wacky in the world. I like I said, I saw the news and this weirdness stuff going on. I've been over and over that all the time, this weirdness going on, right? Is it COVID? We've been in a year and a half in COVID now. Did we blame everything on COVID? My wife was joking the other day. She says, yeah, I blamed it on COVID. And people do that. I blamed it on COVID. Okay, comment below. You're blaming all the weirdness and probably out of character, personalities or out of character behavior on COVID-19. Comment below. I want to put some shout outs to a few people. Okay. First of all, I want to shout out to Steve. I want to shout out to Steve Harbaugh. Congratulations on your achievement. We'll get into that later. He had a milestone in his life. Steve's a good close friend of mine. And so congratulations to Steve on what he's done. Congratulations to the Crossroads Saints for getting the record out and during the pandemic and doing very well. And I'll talk to Daryl after the holidays, and we'll see how the record is doing. As far as I know, the record's doing pretty well from what I could tell. We got a new video out. It's called Pride. It's on YouTube. It is it's on a age restriction, which I can't figure out why. I have no control of that. But it's on an age restriction. It's got some gambling scenes, and it talks about the world corruption is really what it is. And so anyway, but it's on 18, so you'll have to sign on YouTube and see it. But anyway, that video is released. I'm trying to think of some other things that's going on. And congratulations, like I said, to the record and all the people involved in that. Shout out to Mark and Paul and our horn section and Corey and Tim Wright and everybody else. It was a great record. And it's a great record. Let's see, what else do I have on my talking notes today? Oh yeah, this is one thing I wanted to express today too. So Christmas is coming up, right? Okay. Hopefully you'll get your Christmas shopping done. I got some online stuff to do. I'm going to do 50-50 this year. I went to stores more. Last year I did all online. I know I'm kind of skipping a little bit. But last year I did almost all online stuff, which worked out pretty good. This year it's about a 50-50 split. That's how I'm doing it. Comment below and let me know how you're doing it. Oh, and two, and I kind of want to touch on this too. This podcast, it's about everyday life situations. I don't really talk a whole lot about politics. I touch on it. I don't talk a whole lot about religion. I touch on it. I don't talk about anything I'm not a specialist in any one thing. I talk about all these common things that we all run into and experience in life. But kind of touching on the Christian aspect and the Christmas thing is, have you noticed a lot of Xmas's going on? Now, years ago, I remember the first time I saw Xmas, I didn't think that much of it. I thought they were just abbreviating Christmas. Now, I might be kind of hitting on some stuff that people think is kind of controversial or whatever, and that's fine. I'm just telling you my general feelings on it and what's right and what's wrong. You know what I mean? So anyway, but years ago when I was a teenager, I saw Xmas. One of my good friends said, "Oh man, you should never write Xmas on Christmas and blah blah blah." And I said, "Well, why is that?" Because he says, because you're crossing out the Christ in Christmas, and that's what Christmas is all about. We're celebrating that time of year. We celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. And I thought at that time I thought about it. I thought, oh yeah, I guess he's right. So this year I'm seeing more and more Xmas, Happy Holidays, Xmas, and it was weird when the previous administration was in. Now this is whether you believe it or not, it's true. You guys can do your own research on it. And like I said, this is food for thought. They were bringing a lot of the Christmas. They were really adamant on putting Christmas back in, Christ back at Christmas and celebrating that. And like I said, I don't care what your views are or whatever, just observation, right? Observation. So this year I noticed that it's going kind of back to Xmas again. But I always thought that was kind of weird, the Xmas anyway. Well, it's kind of whether you're a Christian or not, I feel like the holiday is called Christmas. It's like, leave the word alone. It's Christmas. Why put Xmas in there? I don't know. Just my thoughts, guys. Let's dip a little ginger cookie in the coffee again. Not bad. Pretty good. I hope you guys don't mind me sharing. I try to keep it real here. Especially when I'm in my home studio like this one is. I like to keep it real. Now, later on when I go out and get into more professional studios and share, we may change it a little. But I hope that life is treating you well in general. Comment below on anything I have to say today. Like I said, we'll go over what I've talked about so far. COVID-19, is it not only messing people up health-wise? Is it ever going to go away? What about the vaccines? Do you think they're necessary? Do you think they're really working? Do you think people should get fired and let go from their jobs because they choose not to take one? Okay, comment on that. Do you think that COVID is causing bizarre behaviors and really angry behaviors and violence and tempers and murders and robberies and all this wild stuff going on? Do you think COVID is responsible for that? Comment below. You know what you think. These people that are doing bad things, man, they get this blank stare in their eye. I mean, what's that all about? I call it like the Charles Manson eyes, you know? I mean, if you look at the mugshots. Like this kid that yesterday, tragedy in Michigan. You look at his eyes, he just looks like they got some problems, I'm telling you. We got some serious problems around the world. We got some serious things going on. We can't keep Christ and Christmas. We're Xing it out. Just little things like that I observe everywhere. You know, kids are freaking out and shooting kids for whatever reason. They're not handling it. You know, they're not letting emotions control. They're letting their emotions override their reasoning, like my father always says, and it's true. And by the way, happy birthday, Dad, a few days ago. They're letting their emotions override their reasonings. I've talked about that a lot. Letting emotions override reasonings. There's no, the word I'm trying to say is there's like no emotion in some of these people, like the guy that killed the 15-year-old teenager on his bike. You look at this homeless man, drifter, wanderer, and you wonder how they get that way. You just wonder, right? Comment below. All right, it's kind of crazy, but bizarre behavior. And I kind of like to wrap up the podcast today by saying this. I work in, like I say, healthcare industry. It's been, pretty hectic, right, for us. We're probably under more stress than a lot of people, or as much as a lot of people. I'm not going to say, well, I'm under more stress. There's always somebody who's got it worse than you, right? No matter what. No matter how bad life seems, someone's always got it worse than you do, period. And I always remind myself with this thought. You look at these veterans that are disabled veterans that have lost limbs, and you know what? They're in wheelchairs and whatever, artificial limbs, and they're playing sports, and they're being active, and they don't let anything stop them. I admire those people. And when you think you got it bad, you look at people like that have just ran into a bad thing, very bad thing, and they've overcome it, and they've been able to work with it, and they've been able to keep life going. They keep positive. So there's only someone that's got it worse than you, no matter what. I'd also like to say my condolences and sympathies to the Baker family. We've got a lot of people that have gone. I mentioned this a lot, and a lot of funerals that have been. And personally, I let that kind of get to me sometimes, but I'm learning not to try to let that get to me, and try to be positive as much as possible but it is part of life, and it's a hard part of life, right? It's one that none of us are really ready for. But one thing I did notice, like I said, working in the healthcare, where I was going with this whole thing, working in healthcare, I pass a lot of people, from physicians to the janitor to the housekeeping people, right? Women, men, young people that are dressed a little bizarre as far as I'm concerned. Some of the dress codes with some of these people that are working there, back in the day, we could never got away with dressing and wearing what they're wearing, even though I wouldn't personally do that anyway. But anyway, the times have changed a lot, and I don't know if it's for the best or whatever. But the point I'm trying to make with this is from the physicians to the janitors to the in-between people, the supply chain people like me, to the doctors, nurses, all the staff, techs, whoever, everybody that works in that healthcare industry, to the patients and the patients' families there. Whenever I'm in the hallways, I always try to gesture and say, hello, how you doing? How you doing? It's just how I was raised and how I was taught that that's how we should act, right? Acknowledge people when in the hallway. And you'd be very surprised that even with some of these people that may kind of look at me at first appearance and say, I'm not sure about that guy. He's totally different than me. And I'm not sure if I like him because of how I look maybe or whatever. I break that barrier by starting up a conversation and saying hello, how you doing? And, just like I met a veteran African-American middle-aged woman that's a truck driver the other day. And she looked, pretty tough, truck driving woman, And she was talking about, hey, this guy blocked me trying to drive in. She was complaining about the drivers not respecting truck drivers. And we just got on this really nice conversation. And boy, we were just like best friends now. I mean, and that's how I try to do with everybody. I try to treat everybody that way. But here's the other thing. I'm going to be walking down the hall, and most of the janitorial people and the ones that probably don't make it the lesser on the money scale, right? Some people may have a tendency to kind of look down maybe on some of these people, which they shouldn't, but they do. I get along with these people really well, and most of everybody. But it's really weird the other day, and I'll close on this. The other day I ran into some younger physicians, and I said, hello, how you guys doing? You doing okay? Blank stare. Walked right by me. No response. None. Act like I wasn't even there. And I thought, wow, okay. Just food for thought. I don't care if you're a physician, if you're a janitor, if you're someone in between on the status scale of the workforce or whatever, wherever you're at or whatever you do, whatever your career, whatever kind of career you have, in other words. We're all human beings. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. And we need to be treated with respect and loving care with, for each other. And it's simple. That's a simple recipe for world survival and mankind survival. Humanity survival, right? If we would just think in that mindset that I want to treat these people, I don't know them, but I'm going to treat them with respect. We're going to love these people. We're not going to put any harm on these people. We're going to treat everybody level-headed. I'm not saying you have to be like all googie-goggy on everybody you come in, like that. But just treat people with a little bit of respect. Don't let your emotions override your reasonings. With the world leaders and everything. I mean, the world would be I said this so many times, but it's true. The world would be so much better, and maybe we could save humanity and save the planet. Right, Barney? Yeah, and maybe Barney won't have that look anymore. He would give that up, I mean, seriously. You think about it, going down the hallway, all you got to do is, someone says, hello, how you doing? And say, I'm doing pretty good. Sometimes I've told them in the past, someone's asked me how I'm doing. I'm like, well, not too bad. I'm a little tired today, but, I understand, you're working hard and everything. Just show a little respect and kindness. That's it. That's it. And I don't care if we're on different sides of the political spectrum. I don't care what it is. Let's just find a middle ground. Let's level the playing field. Not all this certain people are bad. Not all these people are bad. Not all these people are bad. Don't prey on a 15-year-old kid, for God's sakes. Or anybody. Don't threaten to take over someone else's country. Don't mess with Mother Nature and release viruses. I've told that before, that you can make bad things happen, right? If we just had a lot of respect throughout the whole world, gosh, just think about that. Maybe one day soon that will actually come to pass, right? That'll happen, right? So, but anyway, that being said, I missed you guys last week. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to the weeks ahead. That's all I got to say, that it's going to be fun. Guest. Finally, guest on the show. Guest on the podcast. I can't wait. And it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Thanks again for all the support. I do appreciate it. And like I say every week, the Lord willing, I will see you guys next week, maybe with even a better show and some interesting topics to talk about. Real briefly before I go, I do listen. I have 2 ears. They do still work. Even though I'm an old rock and roller, they still work. Not as good, but they work. I listen to people. I listen to what the questions they ask me. I don't always have the answer. Once in a while I might. But I'm just, I'm an average guy. I don't have all the answers. But I try to go get the answers, or I try to listen to what they say and look up some answers and try to give them a proper answer, or try to at least say, I don't know. That's something we need to think about, right? And I have a lot of questions from people all over. And I do listen to those questions, and we may address some of these questions coming up in the future. Anyway, guys, take care. Love and respect your neighbors, your family. Give your family a hug, man, because you never know. The ones you love, give them a hug, because you never know when's the last time you're going to see them. Because with the way the world is now, you never know. I know personally I've lost a lot of friends and acquaintances I've known in just the last 2 years. Over 12, over a dozen people. I'll be honest with you. So, like I say every week, God willing, thanks again for stopping in, and I will see you next week. You have discovered, through the expansion of the internet world, I am Johnny Allen, and this is the Johnny Allen 30-Minute Podcast.